Welcome to the Greater South Florida Group. Today, we are going to analyze the state of the Charlotte County, Florida housing market. The market is clearly shifting, and there appears to be some interesting things happening in this housing market. We're diving into the definitive data forecast for Charlotte County's real estate correction as of May 2026. Let's look at what the numbers are actually telling us. The market is moving quickly. We're looking at a projected 7.4% decline in home values over the next year. For a typical home in the county, that's more than $22,000 in equity simply vanishing. Here is why that matters. This isn't just a future prediction. The downward momentum is already here. We've seen values drop from over $336,000 to just under $298,000. That is a real-time 11.5% year-over-year decline. We aren't just forecasting a dip, we are actively mapping the floor of this correction. How can we be so sure about where prices are headed? We move past gut feelings and focus on the 5 undeniable forces of real estate momentum. With a current momentum score of 29 out of 100, the data is clearly forecasting significant regional declines ahead. The first major metric is a massive inventory glut. We're currently seeing over 3,500 active listings, which is a staggering 47.5% surplus compared to the 7-year average of about 2,400 homes. This level of oversupply is driving the inventory momentum score down to a 14 out of 100, officially shifting the leverage from sellers to buyers. Our second metric shows that seller surrender is accelerating. We're seeing over 27% of all active listings being slashed in price, well above the historical norm of 23%. This signals a growing desperation among sellers to offload their properties before their equity erodes any further. Metric number 3 is severe market stagnation. Properties in Charlotte County are now sitting for an average of 88 days. That is 27.2% higher than the long-term norm. When homes linger this long, it almost always leads to price drops and aggressive seller concessions just to get a deal closed. Finally, metrics 4 and 5 represent the financial ceiling compressing any potential growth. Recent appreciation has stalled, with a score of 22 out of 100, creating heavy negative momentum that locks in lower comparable sales. Meanwhile, mortgage rates remain restrictive at 6.38%. While these rates are stable enough to provide some baseline demand, they are nowhere near low enough to offset the crushing weight of the other 4 negative indicators we've discussed. When you look at the market pressure matrix, the anatomy of this crash becomes clear. Inventory, price cuts, days on market, and appreciation are all pulling the market down. Only mortgage rates are moving sideways. With 4 out of 5 key indicators screaming decline, the mathematical gravity pulling Charlotte County prices down is now overwhelming. A declining market isn't a dead market. It's a shifting one. But remember, data is only useful if it leads to action. Now that we've looked at the numbers, let's talk about exactly how you can weaponize this momentum score to master the May 2026 market and use these shifts to your advantage. For buyers, here is your tactical playbook. First, exploit the clock. Sellers with listings over 60 days are likely reaching a point of high anxiety. Second, lowball with logic. Since over 27% of sellers are already cutting prices, use the current downward trajectory to justify your offer, rather than relying on outdated comps. Finally, exercise patience. With a projected 7.4% drop coming, waiting actually saves you money. Don't rush in unless you're getting severe concessions. If you're selling, your strategy must change. First, price ahead of the curve. Don't look at 2024 numbers. Price for the current 11.5% downward trend to avoid chasing the market lower. Second, you have to stand out in the glut. With over 3,500 other homes competing for buyers, your presentation must be flawless. Finally, respect the first offer. In a market with this much downward momentum, that first reasonable offer is often the best one you're going to get. We are finding absolute clarity in the chaos. There is no denying that Charlotte County is facing a severe correction. However, by mastering the mechanics of inventory, market stagnation, and seller behavior, you change your position entirely. You are no longer a victim of these market forces. You are now a strategist, operating with an unfair advantage.
Don't navigate this market blind. I want to hear from you. Did this data change how you're looking at the Charlotte County market? Drop your own predictions in the comments below. If you found this analysis helpful, make sure to like and subscribe for more data-driven updates. Thanks for watching.